Morning, everyone. How are we all today? I hope we're all well. Last one of the week, thankfully. Well, let's get a quick look to see who's in. We've got Scott Hayes, Jade Armstrong, Martin the Hibby, Desiree Brincat, Mel, Duncan, Vince, Lorna McDonald, good morning Lorna, Scott Hayes, Lorna Shields, Elliot Butterfly Effect, Stephen Nicol, Leapson, Kirsty Falls, and me birds put up a list. Hi Ted Boy, Aki's Mad, Reagan Elite, Stephen Bankier, Robert McInnes, John O'Rourke, Lorraine Logue, Sir Larry the Cat, Viper Scott, Andy Duck Mail, George Dockery, Ellie Butterfly Effect, and Scott Haynes. If I've missed you, terribly sorry. Right, unlike yesterday's papers, got all your teeth in today, so we'll get this underway. Okay, Andy Truck Davy out the truck and at home in his office in Salisbury, North Lanarkshire, where it is currently 3 degrees, sunny, although quite chilly as it's struggling as the sun's struggling to shift a couple inches of snow that fell here last night. But as today's high is going to be 9 degrees, hopefully it will all melt. Now there's no rain or snow in the forecast for today, so we'll see what happens. Humidity's at 93%, wind 0 to 7 miles per hour, so a breeze at best. Sunset will be at what's that? 16:04, and we'll have just over 11 hours of daylight today, and there is no pollen count. So the days are getting longer, but the pollen count should start kicking in again shortly as we're in the spring. Although generally it is an end of year thing. Okay, first up this morning, Scotsman. Let's get it up and go on with this. Benefit Row SNP candidate is told to pay back 19,000. And what it says is Sally Donald excuse me, may yet get referred to the Crown Office. But Swinney insists he didn't know about the investigation. Why should Swinney know about an investigation being carried out with the Benefits Agency? That's not his job. That's the Benefit Agency's job. But as to Sally Donald being ordered to pay back 19,000 and allegedly fraudulently claimed benefits may be referred to the Crown. No, better be referred to the Crown. Now, I know this lassie was standing as an SNP candidate, and I know this lassie was a hard-working campaigner, but it doesn't change the fact that if she's been accused of fraud to that scale from the public purse, she should face a panel of her peers to decide whether it was a deliberate fraud or whether it was just misguided and misunderstanding the system. In fact, if I was Miss Donald, I would be insisting that it goes before a panel of my peers, especially if I think I haven't done anything wrong. But 19,000 fraud for the public purse, that had better go before the Crown. I don't give a fuck who did it. I don't care. That's money that should have went to somebody that rightfully needed it. No somebody gaming the system. So if Miss Donald is guilty, and I know wee Lewis is not going to like this, or if she's suspected of fraud, then the court is where this should go. I'm sorry, I don't care. Could be the hardest SNP campaigner and could have been possibly a great candidate, but I don't care. She's been accused of fraud. She stepped back, and if it's to that degree, she should be in the courts. End of bloody story. I don't care who she is. Right, that's not the last time that'll appear in the papers today. Next up, we've got the rancid. Sorry, the scum. We don't put the scum up. So what's the scum got for us this morning? Scum's on a sports story. Rugby brute honour axed. King strips gong from shamed hog. Stuart Hogg stripped off MBE. Should have fucking kept him on the honours list. He's there with a bunch of other distinguished criminals. Mandelson jumps to mind. Savile jumps to mind. Hey, you're an artist fella, the Australian. Oh, the civil list is full of wrongins. The honours list is full of wrongins. Should have kept him on there. He'd been amongst a panel of his peers. Right, after the scum will get the rancid, and we don't put that up either. Booze thief killed over Asda booze thief jailed over Asda tragedy. Screaming shoplifter killed store guard. Crazed thug gave Alun fatal heart attack as she fought him for bag of stolen alcohol or drink. Natasha Smith, aged 26, struggled with Alan Harris Richards, age not given, and he dropped indeed. The situation, fired a heart attack, he didn't recover. So she's been jailed, and rightly so. Rightly so. But while she's there, she needs to get some serious addiction treatment. Serious addiction treatment. Next up, we'll get the eye, we'll put it up. Remember, part of the penal system is to rehabilitate these people. And it sounds like this young lady has got a real serious alcohol addiction. Right, up with the eye, what's it go for us this morning? Panic in Dubai, expats in tourist shelter in basements as war with Iran escalates. Well, is it Iran that's hitting Dubai? Because I'm hearing that no, all these missiles that are hitting these cities across the Middle East are coming from Iran. They're coming from an Iranian proxy. Possibility. But they're not all coming from Iran. As for panic in Dubai, expats, let me sort that flat paper. Immigrants and tourists shelter in basement. Because that's what they are. This expats bollocks. Because they're Brits and they can't be immigrants. Bollocks. We'll see who the legend is. Hello. Sorry? Oh, here. Sorry, I've never seen your message, okay? Right, I'll see you soon. Bye now. Okay, that's that sorted. And I won for the legend war, phoning during the live. How naughty. Right, where were we? We'll just finish with the eye. Next up, we've got the National. What's the National vote for us this morning? Okay, let's get it up. Scots MP resigns Labour whip after husband's China spy probe arrest. Well, it was either that she was going to lose the whip anyway. And UK strikes on Iran not ruled out. Starmer and Defence Secretary leave the door open. Move RAF Typhoon fighters jets to Middle East. Now, don't know if you know this, folks, but the UK's only got 151 fighter jets. At this point in time, F-35Bs, of which they've got 37, 30 of them are in service. As to the amount of Typhoons in service, I couldn't quite get my head wrapped around it. Because in service and in training mode are two different things. So generally the Typhoon fleet's quite healthy, but there's a fair few of them are held for training purposes. So for the UK to defend itself with that little amount of aircraft, fighters, as difficult as it is, but to deploy them elsewhere in the world just leaves this island vulnerable. Very vulnerable, take my word for it. This is a reasonably large size lump of rock and 151 planes to guard it. We need proper air defences. This is some sort of fucking joke. But the joke gets funnier as we go in. And I mean that. The UK is not in any position to enter into a war. And it really doesn't have the resources to be sending elsewhere when it comes to defending these islands. But on every metric, every government in my lifetime has failed in its primary duty. And in this case, it's defence. Because the primary duty of government is to look after the people. The defence of the UK isn't possible with the amount of men, equipment available. But we'll get more of that as we get further through. So, next up we've got Herald. What's the Herald got for us this morning? The Herald's telling us that out of that very small fighter force, UK fighters jet for Qatar. Can the Qataris no defend themselves? We don't have that many planes. We don't have that much money to spend. And this so-called extra 6 billion apparently hasn't materialised. So, well, that's all about. But, as I say, this still gets funnier. Remember these numbers, folks. Even with active reservists, you don't talk about 226,000 possible military personnel. The equipment for these guys to use. But 250,000 to defend an island this size. Sorry, less than 250,000 to defend an island this size. This is some sort of fucking joke. Right. Now we get to the really funny stuff. So, get ready for it. The loony rag, the Express. The Express and Kimmy Badenoch are banging the war drum. Tory leader calls for offensive action against Iran after British base targeted. We can't stand by and expect others to help Britain. Shut up, Kimmy. It's all right for you to bang the fucking war drum when it's no your fucking sons and daughters that are going to be fed to the meat grinder. Wow. Apart from that, this is an illegal endeavour by Israel and America. And Atrocities was a legitimate target as the UK had allowed the US to use it, and it's offensive against Iran. So sit down, Badenoch, and shut the fuck up. It's no your kids that'll be fed to the fucking meat grinder. It's no you that'll be in the front line. Kemi bangs wardroom to feed your kids to meat grinder. That's fucking jolly decent of her. Oh, and she'd also like your kids to be fed into that meat grinder on an illegal endeavour. Now, Atrocities was a legitimate target for Iran. The US is using that base. That makes the UK complicit in an illegal strike on a sovereign state. Hit the like button, please. Helps the algorithm. Helps us raise money for food banks. If you're new here and you didn't know, and folks, I've been quite distracted and busy this week, but I have identified 3 food banks. I'll be contacting them Monday morning, and by the end of next week we'll have it out. You know how it always takes that wee bit longer when we get into these rural areas. But it will go out as usual. All right. Now let's move on. But I say, if you're new here and you didn't know, hit the like button, please. It helps, because all the money we raise in this channel goes to food banks around Scotland. Okay, so Badenoch beats Wardrum to feed your kids to meat grinder. Fuck's sake. Jolly decent of her. What a absolutely spiv person. Right, let's move on. Next up, we'll get a Tory graph. What's that go for us this morning? Starmer, US must negotiate with Iran. And PM called for de-escalation talks with regime despite bombing allies in the Middle East. That's because Starmer, for this once, has done the right thing. He knows that what America and Israel did was illegal, and he suggests the negotiating table as opposed to killing more people. But as we know, Trump's already stated that this campaign will last to Easter. So, no getting round the table anytime soon. Unless he's forced to, of course. After the Tory graph comes the Times with sick vote for us this morning. Trump, I must help to choose Iran's next leader. Wow, fucking stupid is as stupid does. I guess Trump's about to get America into another Afghanistan, where there'll be lots of bloodshed at great expense. In fact, I can hear the cash registers of the vast military industrial complex in America getting paid in blood and taxpayers' dollars from here. So if Trump thinks he's going to choose the next leader of Iran and it's a regime shape, then he didn't learn fuck all for Afghanistan. Nothing. The only way for Iran to be changed is from within. You can't tell people how they're going to be governed. You've got to let them decide themselves. Did they not learn that for Afghanistan? 25 years after ejecting the Taliban and fighting the Taliban, they ran with their tails between their fucking legs. And guess who's governing Afghanistan? The Taliban. All their lives, $3 trillion pissed up against the wall. And that's what will happen in Iran. That's exactly what will happen in Iran. You can't impose your will on people. That would say something called resistance. Fucking stupid orange man baby. Where is his military advisors? Wow. Wow. Stupid is as stupid does. And Donny's not the brightest. Next up, we'll get a Daily Feel. This is an interesting one. It's banging the war drum. while telling us we don't have any fucking ammo to fight the war with. This is a fucking outstanding headline. Starmer takes the great out of Britain. That's been on the top of that fucking paper all week. Desperate and deluded. We can't put a warship to sea. Yeah, listen, mind. Can't put a warship to sea. Trump's frozen him out. Our nation is a laughingstock, but PM insists he is in control. Well, I'm afraid this time round, Starmer's the realist. This endeavour that they want us all to get into, with no fucking method of fighting it, as states on the front page of the paper, it's fucking mental. It's banging the war drum while telling us we don't have any weapons to fight the fucking war with. Wow. Folks, this is nowhere near reality, this fucking rag. Never was, but this is extra delusional. And these people are calling Starmer desperate and delusional. They haven't read their own front fucking page. They're banging the drum for a war while telling us we don't have anything to fight it with. Is the editor of this paper a fucking idiot? Wow. Wow. Can you imagine that? It's saying front page is banging the drum for war while telling us we don't have anything to fight it with. You could not make that stuff up. That's what you call exceptionalism. That's a fine example of exceptionalism. Rule Britannia rules the waves, but we don't have any ships, by the way. For fuck's sake! The editor of that paper is definitely fucking delusional. Wow. Banging the war drum while telling us we don't have anything to fight it with. Okay. Next up, The Guardian. What's that got for us today? Israel tells 500,000 to flee Beirut ahead of airstrikes. Israel announces more atrocities to come. 500,000 people to flee the city of Beirut because Israel, and its illegal war, plural, intends to flatten Beirut. And it's just casually put out in the front of papers. Wow. And the worst it is, people are accepting it. People are accepting it. You know, just Israel bombing another 500,000 people out their homes. Shrug shoulders, get on with drinking coffee. Fuck's sake. Cognitive dissidence, right enough. Right, that just leaves us one paper. And it's also calling Starmer deluded for staying out here and an illegal endeavour. Wow. That's where we're at, folks. The Daily Fail and the Express today really sums it up. Kimmy banging a war drum to have your children fed to the meat grinder with no equipment. And the Daily Fail wants us to get into a war while at the same time telling us we don't have any tools to fight that fucking war. You couldn't make it up. Right, let's get started up because Young Reagan will eat up next. Folks, when you finish here, there's a link in the chat. Pop over and have a look. I'm afraid I can't this morning because I picked Sarah up at 11:30 today. I've got to go down and blow up a slow puncture and get my arse down to the industrial estate and pick her up. Anyway, let's get started up and see what it's got for us today. PM, it's me. It's Donny. Bring Brits home now. Dithering Heights for Kia. So Donny's telling him there's going to be more atrocities. Get your people out of the Middle East. Dithering Heights instead of Withering Heights. Look at that fucking image. Oh, jeez, oh. I've not had my breakfast yet either. Didn't need that. As I say, but I did say at the beginning of the programme there's some crackers in the papers today. Some real crackers in the papers today. And there fucking is. Especially the Express, where Kimmy Badenoch is banging the war drum to feed your children, sons and daughters, into the meat grinder. Well, the Daily Fail is banging its drum for a war while telling us we don't have the tools to fight it. You could not make this shit up. Good way to end the week. Really good way to end the week. Fucking irony is lost in these papers, and exceptionalism still exists. Thanks very much for turning out in such large numbers this morning. Please hit the like button on the way out. It helps the algorithm, and that helps the advertising revenues for all they are. Now, here's an interesting one. I was asked why I don't do Saturday and Sunday. And I says, because I like to sit and imagine with my coffee on a Saturday and a Sunday morning that people are having to look for the headlines themselves, and as they go through it with their significant other or friend or whoever it is they watch the programme with, going, I wonder what David's have to say about that. I wonder what David's have to say about that. That would definitely bring on a Davy rant. So that's why I don't take day Saturdays and Sundays. So you guys get a chance to say, I wonder what David'd say about that headline. You guys have a wonderful weekend and look after yourself and each other. Eyes own the prize. The prize is the 2026 Holyrood election. Now, I hear the SNP are not particularly well funded at this point in time, so I'm going to give them a couple of quid. If you can, please do.